Hi everyone, I'm Ayushi. I'm a program associate at Equitech Futures. Today, I'll talk to you about what the Equitech Scholars Program is, how to go about the application procedure, and what to expect from both the application process and the program in general. If you have any questions, as Anodya mentioned, we have a dedicated question and answer session at the end, like towards the last 20 minutes of the session today. So we'll be taking those questions then. However, we've also received quite a few questions before the info session itself through the registration link. I'll try and answer some of those pressing questions while I'm talking to you about the Equitech Scholars Program as it is. The Equitech Scholars Program is an 8-week program on using data science and artificial intelligence, AI tools, on tackling societal challenges. So when we mean societal challenges, we talk about things like um, climate change, public health, gender equality, and honestly, any other societal challenge that seems of importance to you, given your own specific personal context, and how you want to go ahead and use data science and AI to tackle said challenges. This is an 8-week long program. It'll start from June 3rd and go on till July 26th. Our classes will happen Monday through Friday between 1300 to 1600 UTC. UTC stands for Universally Coordinated Time. And this time we've found, honestly, it's there to accommodate our global cohort based from different countries. So this time generally results in our students from the Mexico or United States joining us early in the morning, students from India having to join around like 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. their nighttime, and students from China have joined us in closer to midnight. The program is a fully digital and fully funded program, which fully digital here means that our classes are live and they happen through live Zoom meetings. We've received a question which was about, is having access to a computer necessary for this program? I think given the fact that our lectures are delivered across digital platforms, you will need at least some device that can connect and access the internet and Zoom and Notion, because those are the resources, those are the tools that we use to go ahead and administer our program. This program is fully funded, which means that students do not need to pay fees in order to access this program. Beyond that, we also recognize that internet is something that can be an accessible, like can be a structural barrier to entry from for some students. So we also provide financial aid to students who need it in order to access their classes online. The program eligibility is for current undergraduate across all countries, across all disciplines. That is to say, you do not need to have a STEM education. You do not need to have a background or all training in data science and AI in order to be eligible for this program. You could be a design major, a history major, a psychology major, and still apply for this program. We are currently only accepting applicants under 25 years of age, and current undergraduate, also side note here, means that the people who are in their final semesters of bachelor's can also apply. That is to say, students who might graduate in May are still eligible to apply for the program. We will be accepting applications from them itself. We also do not have a minimum CGPA requirement, because we understand that when we're looking at a global cohort, the grading scales differ from country to country. And the grading scales are also increasingly limited in that they do not provide a holistic view of an applicant. The time commitments for this program is something that I would like to take this minute here to highlight for all of you. As I've said, the classes happen Monday to Friday. Uh, as I've said, the classes happen Monday to Friday from 1300 to 1600 UTC. That is to say, 15 hours of classes per week over 8 weeks, not including the extra time that you'll require for you to do your capstones, your assignments, any assigned readings, homeworks, and so on. In the past, we've had students say that they've required around 20 to 25 hours of like dedicated time for the ESP each week. So please make sure you have that in mind while you apply for this program. Please go ahead and take a serious look at your commitments for the summer, because we try to minimize chances of students signing in, joining in the meeting, and then dropping out. The joining in the program and then dropping out, because it tends to take away that opportunity that could have been utilized by another student who had the time and the bandwidth available to join this program. I'll quickly walk all of us through the application process for the Equitech Scholars Program. Right now, we have the written applications open. The deadline for the written applications is 12th April, 11:59 p.m. The written application is quite a lengthy application. I would suggest all of you, I know a lot of us, including me myself, tend to have the tendency of doing things close to the deadline, like at the last minute. Please do not try and do that for the written application because it's a lengthy, heavy application with multiple essay type answers, which require serious applicants, which require students to put into some thought into what they want to talk about. For example, we have questions that ask students about their personal experiences with things like failure, about their community engagement projects in the past, about what problems it is that, given their background, their context, they want to solve in the world. It's an application that is designed to let us know not just your eligibility in the sense of your experiences and degrees or points on your resume, but also more about what drives you as an innovator. It helps us to gauge our fit the fit of the Equitech Scholars Program to your journey, but also your fitting in with the Equitech Scholars cohort. After the interview applications, we will be inviting shortlisted applicants for a personal interview with the faculty. The results of the interview applications will be conveyed to you by 15th of May. That is, whether or not your application is being progressed to the next round or not will be conveyed to all applicants by mid-May. The faculty interviews will involve an interview with our core faculty members, like the faculty members who will be teaching you throughout this program. And just to let everyone know, it's not an interview that will drop out from anywhere on the earth. There is not a lot that you need to do in order to specifically prepare for the interview. In the interview, what we've realized faculty tends to do in the past is deep dive into the own question, into the essays that you've written within your written application, which is another reason why we want you to put special focus to that, on the interests, on things that motivate you, on your analysis and engagements with any of the articles that we provide, or a video that we ask you to submit talking about a problem that you find fascinating. We'd like to take this time in the faculty interview to go ahead and have a chat with you about what it is that you find fascinating and why. And I will also be dropping a link in the chat shortly. It is a link to a detailed blog that can help guide you through the written application process to make the process smoother and easier for everyone. But yeah, I think that's what I have to say. I'll push this back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayushi, for giving us an overview of the program and also answering some of the questions which the audience had actually sent us through the registration forms. We'll now move forward and listen to our alumni. Before we move to that, I would just like to take a minute to talk about the curriculum of the Equitech Scholars Program. We have 5 different classes in this program: the Foundations of Data Science and Programming, Applied Artificial Intelligence, Speaking Lab, Writing Lab, and our brand new Entrepreneurship Lab. The Societal and Ethical Perspectives on Technology is a weekly and bi-weekly workshop that happens alongside these classes. So this is a rough structure of the curriculum. Now I would like to pass on the mic to Anna, Isis, and Andrew to talk about the curriculum. Anna, would you like to start by talking about the foundations of data science and programming? And also you can give a little more introduction about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. I was part of the first cohort, and Equitech has really been a really transformative program for me. Foundations of Data Science is a course that introduces you to sort of computer programming, data science fundamentals. So I have had a STEM background. I finished a degree in sort of CS and math from Ashoka. And Bhasi takes this course, and it was truly one of the best STEM courses I have attended in my life, because as STEM students, there might be concepts that you feel like you understand or know how to apply, but once you take this course, you truly understand where they come from. And I know for a lot of my classmates who didn't come from a STEM background, this was a really great introduction to the field, because literally anyone can pick up these basics because they're taught from, like, we were solving questions like 5-year-olds, and I had the excitement of a 5-year-old throughout the course when these classes were going on. So yeah, we covered a lot of concepts around basic data science fundamentals. We covered a lot of Python notebooks, and it's a really, really fun class.
Thank you, Anna. Isis, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Isis, and I'm going to talk about the applied AI course. And the one that teaches this course is Avilash, that it's here present. And basically, what we learned in that course, I would say that is all the process and all the things that we have to take into account when we are about to build or create an AI model. I mean, it goes from where you are collecting the data and all the things that you have to take into consideration in a way that it isn't bad to the society, and it is something moral getting that data, and it also considers the economic perspective. I mean, it doesn't have to be way too expensive, or if it is going to be, how are you going to fund that data collection? And then when you are going to build the model, also Abhilash has taught us a lot of models and a lot of algorithms. So we have that foundation too. I mean, like the computer science foundation. And we also have to take into consideration, I mean, I'm going to do this, but am I affecting someone else with this model? Am I excluding some people with this model? And the same when you deploy that model that you have already built, you have to keep those considerations too. I mean, it doesn't have to be a model that discriminates a certain part of the population. So I really like this course because as Anna, I'm also coming from a computer science and math background, and all my life, I mean, all my university, I have only focused on algorithms, and I have never seen like those parts too. I mean, how is this model going to affect the population or the person that is going to be used? So I really like getting this perspective and knowing that it's not only about algorithms, it's like a whole ecosystem that we have to consider.
Thank you so much, Isis. Isis is also our regional ambassador this year from Mexico. So if there's anyone here from Mexico, you can always reach out to her with questions you have. Abhilash, since you are on the call with us here, do you want to add something about the applied AI course?
Sure. I think Isis did a great job in kind of summarizing the class. The objective of this class, as Isis mentioned, is not to focus on a ton of algorithms that folks who are already in CS backgrounds might know, and folks who are not from a computer science background might find intimidating, because of which they might think that they cannot be a part of building AI tools. And so the goal is really to kind of flip the narrative and say, you don't, building AI tools is not just about knowing the algorithms. It is understanding how the data is collected, how a lot of the challenges in building modern AI tools enters at the level of the data collection. What are the problems in the economics of data collection? And how contemporary conversations and dialogues about AI have intersects with policy, with law. So the way in which the class is designed is not for you to be sitting down and coding a bunch of things on Python, but more along the lines of going through a bunch of case studies. And there's a project where you help conceptualize an AI application of your own from ground up, and you get a ton of feedback from faculty and your peers. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you, Abhilash. This also reminds me of a recent alumni interview that I had with an alumni from Lebanon, and she had talked about this particular class, and she had mentioned that you don't have to be an AI engineer to understand how AI works, just like you don't have to know how to build a car to drive one. And I think that's something which is mentioned in one of these classes. So I just thought I'll put it out there. Next, moving on to Andrew. Andrew, are you here? Yeah, I can see you. Hi.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, there might be noise around. I had to step out because of a power issue at home, but I'll be
That's
talking
okay.
about yeah. So when I joined ESP, this was in 2022. I was in my first year of university, and for context, I'm doing computer science. And writing lab was one of the courses that I loved the most from ESP. Now, since I am a computer science major, I never thought about like the importance of writing, or at least I didn't think I would write a lot. I never gave it much thought. But if you think about today's world, we're almost always communicating via writing. So that is emails, that is the application to like a program like Equitech, application to grad school and that kind of thing. And so it's almost like your voice will always be represented by how you write. And this was a concept that I came to really understand well when I was doing writing lab. And so Kritika had a very unique way to start the class. She would always tell us to first switch off all our videos and then write something, write anything. Sometimes there would be a topic, but sometimes there would be no topic, and it would be just writing anything. And it would be like 10 minutes of you um, putting something down on paper or writing it on your laptop. But every time, she kind of cultivated in us a habit that I haven't stopped towards this day. There's a quote from a computer scientist. I don't remember his name, but he says, "Until you've written something, you've not really understood it well." And this is something that I have come to really conceptualize because the final project in Writing Lab was us thinking about a social problem and really diving deep into its research and talking about it. And at this time, I was very passionate about education inequality in Kenya. And I thought I had understood what the issue is. And I thought that the government should work on this. But as I was researching and I was writing more, I found out that the issue is more complex than I could have ever thought. And I don't think I could have gotten to that point if I didn't articulate it via writing. So, and it was all thanks to Writing Lab. The process, just appreciating the writing process, and even reading is something that you cultivate at Writing Lab. And yeah, that was my experience, and I really enjoyed Writing Lab.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, we have Anna, who will talk about Speaking Lab, which is, again, speaking and writing labs are two things that are very important at Equitech Scholars Program. And we also have Thomas, who teaches the Speaking Lab. So Thomas, please feel free to chime in.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk about Speaking Lab because it was so fun. Like Andrew said, that a big part of how you present yourself to the world and how you sort of navigate is either in speaking or writing. And Thomas covered the speaking part of things, which has been really helpful because there are so many times that you'll meet someone just for 5 minutes or for 10 minutes, right? And you meet a really, really impressive person and you want to get advice from them, you want to network, and you just want to tell your story, right? And that story has to be condensed based on different circumstances in a 2-minute, 3-minute sort of space. And you have to bring your best while you're doing that. And Thomas really, throughout the course, taught us not only how to do that, how to communicate, but how to really create our stories and how to express them in a way that is true to us, but also really close to our work and represents and gives a good idea of our work. And it's just really fun because everyone comes with sort of different speaking abilities. Some of us spoke a lot, public speakers, some of the classmates were people who were relatively introverted, and we would all just come together and share tips and talk about like how great speaking as a tool has been for us. And yeah, at the end of the course, we got to like present our 2-minute, 3-minute elevator pitch and present our stories to the rest of our fellows. So it was really fun. But yeah, Thomas, if there's anything.
I think you spoke that brilliantly, Anna. There's not actually much I want to add in terms of the curriculum of the course, except to say that this year, the kind of capstone output of the Speaking Lab winds up merging with the capstone of the Entrepreneurship Lab, which we'll hear about in a minute, where your narrative as an innovator winds up also connecting to some sort of implement that you want to see manifest in the world, whether that's a product, a venture, something that you're passionately advocating for. And so it's the two classes wind up kind of joining what was your journey and trajectory towards innovation, along with the innovation that you want to make.
In fact, let's move right into the Entrepreneurship Lab, since that's one of the courses that is being offered new this year. Abhilash, Thomas, Ayushi, I think the three of you are at the perfect place to be able to talk about this course. So if you could just go ahead.
Sure, I can talk about that. The Entrepreneurship Lab is going to be taught by my colleague Linda Kinning, who has a background in business and product development and leads a venture studio at Equitech Futures. If we can drop the venture link on the chat as well. So a venture studio is a space for our alumni to launch new ideas and companies which are trying to solve societal challenges at the intersection of AI and data science. Andrew Kemani, who is here, is was involved in the launch of one of the ventures, Equitech, which trains emerging data scientists in the social impact sector in Africa. We have another venture measuring carbon that looks at providing climate science data, carbon data, makes that available to researchers. So Linda leads the venture studio, and the goal of Linda's class, the Entrepreneurship Lab, in the Equitech Scholars Program, is to get selected scholars to start thinking about how you go from an idea to an actual product. Lots of people have lots of ideas. I mean, many of you might have entrepreneurial aspirations. Some of you might have heard a lot about entrepreneurship, but don't quite know how things work. And the goal of the Entrepreneurship Lab is to really help you think about how do you go from an idea to a particular product, and also try and think about building that product that people are going to use and people might buy. So really thinking deeply about user needs. How do you go about doing user research? How do you iterate based on user research? And then trying to understand how to think about product market fit and how to really suss out whether your product might have a viable market. Because if you want to launch a venture, it is important for your product to have a viable market. So the goal of the Entrepreneurship Lab is to really give you a training in thinking about how to take your ideas to ventures. We believe this is a skill set that is increasingly important for everyone, not just for aspiring entrepreneurs. The kind of skill sets that you build in thinking entrepreneurially can be translated in many other contexts. If you're a product developer at a major company, or you want to be a CEO of a startup or a nonprofit organization, these skills are extremely important. The other final thing I will add to the Entrepreneurship Lab is that we take a very sort of science-based approach towards entrepreneurship, what we call the scientific method applied to entrepreneurship, which means you'll really sort of think about how to run experiments and think about coming up with hypotheses and run structured experiments to validate the idea that you might have. You might not, in the span of the 8 weeks, you might not be able to run these experiments, but you will at least go through the process of conceptualizing them, which again can be very powerful and helpful in many different domains. So I'm going to stop at that.
Thank you, Abhilash. Now, moving on to the Equitech experience after your completion of the Equitech Scholars Program. What happens after you graduate from this program? So I'm the Alumni Program Associate at Equitech Scholars Program, and my interaction has always been with alumni. So I would just like to say that your journey with Equitech doesn't really end after you finish the program. In fact, it sort of renews and begins in a new way once you become an Equitech alumni. Right now, we have 126 alumni from 50 countries. And this is a thriving community of innovators who are working in various fields, and also across different professions and different, I think, different times in their life. Like, for example, we have people who are still in undergraduate, but we also have people who are already working professionals, have been in the industry for the last 10 years. So yeah, you're welcomed into this community of Equitech alumni, and you join a network who is passionate about data science and AI doing good to the society. Um, Now, for alumni, we also have alumni programming every month. We have around 2 to 3 events which are exclusively designed for alumni. These include faculty coffee chats, where you get to meet the entire cohort and have conversations with them. We also have different applied AI seminars and other seminars by industry leaders. And the crowning glory of it all is the IRLs, which is an in-person retreat. Sorry, I won't call it a retreat. It's an in-person meet, where a lot of faculty, staff, and alumni meet each other for the first time. And our latest IRL was in Kathmandu in January 2024, which was basically a weekend of just getting together, doing some seminars and workshops, and also a lot of social art, because it's the first time you're meeting each other. In fact, on the call also, we have 2 alumni who have been part of IRLs. Anna was part of the Delhi IRL, and Andrew was part of the Nairobi IRL, if I'm not wrong. So if you guys would like to talk about your experiences, that would be lovely.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. I'd like to talk about the Nairobi RL. When I remember the Nairobi RL, something in particular stands out. So at this time, I was already had already finished the Equitech Scholars Program. It was way after, and then I got to meet. So it was alumni from all over Africa. I think southern and eastern Africa. But I had been meeting a lot of times with a particular alumni we were working with. His name is Apollinaire. And I had been so used to meeting with him virtually. But the moment like I saw him, it was like I had known him all along. It was like bringing us together. It was like breaking, I don't know how to say it, but despite having never seen him in person, it's like I had known him, and that was really cool. But I got to network with people I had seen on screen, other people from other programs, and that was really cool. Faculty were there. Yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was definitely one of the highlights of last year. Yeah.
Yeah, just to add on to Andrew, I think it was also my highlight of the year, because the IRL was so much fun. You get to meet so many people. Like you said, you see them on screen and you feel like you already know them, but then you see them in person and they're like so many times I would see people and I was like, wow, you're so tall. And it's just like knowing these intimate small details about like your cohort and your like peers. And you build so many connections. You meet people from sort of different cohorts, from different programs. We had people who were from the Applied Data Institute, and these were folks who were sort of in the workforce while I was still in undergrad. So just talking to them and learning more about how they're still driving their passion for building impactful technology while being in the workspace really gives you a lot of perspective and helps you build that network. And in fact, I think the Equitech IRLs really bring us all together, because even after the IRL, so many people that I met in the IRL whenever I was in their city, and so many of our alumni, whenever we're in each other's city, we just text each other, and we make it a point to sort of meet people and put a picture in our alumni group. So yeah, it's really fun.
Thank you so much, Anna and Andrew. As part of our Equitech experience after the Scholars Program ends, we also have research labs and venture studios, which are things which are specifically available to our Equitech alumni. And venture studio is something which Abhilash has already spoken about, given you an introduction into it. I think Andrew here again is someone who is a part of a venture studio and also a research fellow. So, Andrew, would you like to talk a little about that?
Yes, please. every time I talk about like the venture studio and research labs, it kind of connects to the Nairobi IRL. And I like to quote what Abhilash said, and I think this is what Equitech is. He was telling us as alumni to, he said that ask and you will receive, almost in a sarcastic way, but what it means is that after you finish the Equitech Scholars Program or any program at Equitech, remember their mission is to bring innovators from around the world and kind of empower you. So your ideas are really welcome to this space, and they will really try to help you in whatever way they can. So after I finished the Equitech Scholars Program, I remember an email from Abhilash one day, and he was introducing me to another alumni. His name is Clinton Manotti. And what Clinton was doing was thinking about a challenge. He was thinking about teaching people data science in Africa. And this was inspired by the whole idea of Equitech. And so what he did is introduce me to Clinton, and Clinton was from a whole different program. And we started working on this idea, and this eventually develops to a company, which is now Equitech. Again, this is all under the support of Equitech Features. We were able to found, and this company is still running. Yeah, and it's been a really good experience. Another thing that we've been able to do both within our Equitech and Equitech Features is research, and particularly research in education. And these are just ideas that we come up with, asking questions about challenges that there are in education, recruitment, and we've been able to collect data, analyze data. We've even presented our findings at different conferences, all part of research labs and Equitech Features. Yeah, and if you think about challenges today, there's research and us coming up with solutions that are building ventures are kind of the solutions that you need. And so if you're someone who gets into the Equitech program, it's a space that will enable you to kind of cultivate that mindset and practice and really dive deep into these challenges and build research and the venture studio.
Thank you, Andrew. It's always so nice to hear about the different types of connections that have been formed among alumni belonging to different cohorts and coming together to work on research or ventures. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And with that, we come to the end of the overview of the Equitech Scholars Program. We'll now move on to our question and answers session. So if any of you have any questions, please start putting it on the chat box. Meanwhile, we have some questions already, which we can take. So I'll just quickly start with that.
I just also suggest that if you would prefer to raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask a question, then utilize the raise hand feature to add yourself to the speaking queue. And we'll take questions either from there or if you type them into the chat.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start. One of the main questions we have been getting is, would the panelists advise a student to do this program alongside doing an internship? Also, if I present a project or a startup idea, then will I get some assistance from the experts? Thomas, Ayushi, Abhilash, any of you?
I have an opinion. So second question first, which is, yes, if you already have a startup idea of something that is kind of like tech and social impact, well then huzzah, because this year's Entrepreneurship Idea Lab is going to give you a lot of feedback on that. You may well be able to work on that as your capstone project. In terms of time management, this is a rigorous program. We say this kind of over and over again, and yet it still seems to catch a lot of students by surprise because it's 3 hours of live coursework every weekday, Monday through Friday. So add that up. That's 15 hours a week of live coursework. A great opportunity to connect with your cohort, to learn really great things. You'll get to know each other very well. But it does take a substantial time commitment. And then we tend to estimate an additional 5 to 10 hours of additional work outside of class, either continuing to brush up on your coding skills, working on your capstone projects, completing different assignments. So in total, it's approximately 20 to 25 hours of time commitment over the course of the month of every week I should say, over the course of June and July. We have had students that have tried to balance an internship around it, and you really have to be thoughtful about your calendar. Our colleagues say in India, where 1300 to 1600 UTC is 6:30 to 9:30 p.m., a number of them have been able to do like a daytime internship that finishes by 5 and they go home and they're able to eat something and then join class for the 3 hours. It's a long day, it's a long week, but really intrepid people have been able to do it. If you are, however, taking on an internship that's going to, say, fall between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., and our meeting times are in your time zone are, say, 9 a.m. to 12, and you're thinking, I'll keep it in my ears like a podcast and like kind of be part, that doesn't work. This is not a podcast. This is not a massive online open course. Cohort-based learning means our cameras are on, we're in conversation. The faculty will call on you to answer something if it feels like you haven't spoken up in a while. So trying to multitask this at the same time as something else is kind of a non-starter. And if you don't have the time to allocate to it, it may not be the right year or the right time to apply.
We have a question on the chat. Is there any limit on number of candidates to be selected globally or from every country? Ayushi?
So- Sorry, Abhulal, go ahead.
Yeah. So we have about 25 students per cohort. So that's the total number of students that we select. We don't have quotas for each country, but all our cohorts are highly diverse, and so we try to craft our cohorts to make sure that they are, people from around the world who are participating. For those of you who might be here, particularly from South America, we are really keen to have more folks from Mexico, from South America, to come join the program. So the short answer is no. There's no. So the only kind of cap is 25 students per cohort, but we do not have a quota per country. Yeah, I think that, I don't know if I answered both the questions.
There's a question about any prerequisite for doing this program, like any coding skill or something related to it. And one more time, can you guys let me know what you expect in the interview around from applicants?
Yeah, there
I'll
is
take-
no. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Ayushi, please.
I'll take that up. There's no prerequisite on any kind of past programming experience or eligibility. You do not need to have coding skills. You do not need to have data skills already. I mean, it's great if you do, but that is not a need, and that will not pose a learning challenge for any student in the program who comes from, like, let's say, non-STEM sources, not non-STEM backgrounds, sorry. What to expect in interview around from applicants? We will talk more about the written application that you have submitted, the work experience that you have let us know, the community engagements that you have let us know matter to you through your written application. It'll be a conversation that digs deeper into your motivations, your experiences, what programs you think are worth solving and why, how do you plan on solving them. And nothing will come out of the blue is something that I can promise. The next one is also the
Let
same.
me just,
Sorry,
if I can add to that, Ayushi. I know that interviews can be a source of great stress for some people, a lot of anxiety. So I created an interview masterclass that we've put up on YouTube, and I'm linking to it here. In case you are invited to one of our finalist interviews, you'll be given the link to this again. But regardless, when you're preparing for a job interview, you're preparing for a graduate program, you're preparing for a research assistantship that you have to interview for, it's not a super short video, it's literally a masterclass, but there will be some tips that hopefully would also put you at ease about what to expect in our process or interviews in general.
I just also want to add one more thing. Since our alumni have gone through the interview process, if anybody would like to add something to this, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I have something to add. I mean, first, the interview masterclass of Thomas was really useful, so I would really recommend to take it or to see it. And second, be prepared to talk about your work. I mean, they are really interested in knowing about you and knowing about your work and your interests. So something that I was not prepared to when I had my interview, Avilash asked me about one project that I had in my portfolio that I shared with him, and I was like not really prepared, and I really didn't remember like a lot of details. So I would say that it is cool to, I mean, at least read again what you have submitted as your work, so you don't have to rush in that minute and try to remember all the information that you can. So, I mean, be prepared to talk about what you have submitted, of what you have answered about your curriculum. I think that it is general, not only for this interview. For any interview you have, you need to be prepared to talk about the work that you are sharing and that you are, I mean, the work that represents you.
Thank you, Isis.
Thank you, Isis. I'll just take on talking about Saswat and Ankit's questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Again, there are no prerequisites or prior knowledge to be had in computer science or programming. Whether or not it'll be wise for you to apply as a first year student, I think would depend a lot on your own time commitments without your first year of college. Like, it's a new experience, students are trying their hands at everything. So we understand how time consuming that can get. There is no requirement or preference that we will be giving to any applicant based on whether they're in their first year of undergrad, whether they're in their second or third year of undergrad. We, like, as I've said, it will be an application that focuses more on your experience and your expectations from the program and your motivation from doing it. The year you are in will not be a ranking factor in that.
I don't want to call out and embarrass him, but Andrew, weren't you a first-year student when you applied for the Scholars Program? Yeah. Okay. So it just as evidence that, like, not only do we accept first-year students, some of our folks who applied in their first year of college have gone on to be some of our most successful alumni. And we invest heavily in them too. So please don't let that be a factor limiting whether you think you could get in or not.
Can I also respond a little bit to Ankit's question in the chat? We do not look at resumes in the application. So if you look at the application process, it asks you for a bunch of questions. We don't look at GPAs. We don't look at resumes. And a big part of it is because we don't think that resumes are great signals for people. There's a lot of resume inflation that happens these days. It has become highly unreliable. So we instead look at your responses to the questions in the application, which is why taking the application seriously is great. There is some stuff about using AI tools in your application. I would like to also add here that a lot of times, particularly for folks for whom writing is not something that you might have done before, the instinct is to go use ChatGPT to send in a generic application. That is going to put you at a disadvantage because there are lots and lots of other people who are going to be doing something similar. So, it's okay to use ChatGPT to correct your grammar and to, have an application that is clear, but we really look for why is it that you want to work in tech and social impact? Or why is it that you're driven towards working in this particular space and the kind of problems you're interested in? And the interview is extremely important because that's an opportunity for the faculty to really meet you and to hear about not only the way in which you think, but what your aspirations are. And if there's one sort of base criteria that we look at with folks who want to attend the program is curiosity and a desire to use tech for the public good. So if those are things that you care about, I think you should definitely apply. It is a competitive program. Yes, we select only 25 students. We get 500 plus, sometimes way more than 500 plus applicants. There is, but it is, it is a program that we intentionally keep it small because, as prior participants will tell you, that really adds to the richness of the discussions and the kind of personalized support that we're able to provide our scholars.
I'm going to add one more thing to that. Just since all of you decided to take the time to tune in today on this Saturday to learn more about it, honestly, the thing that's going to rocket your application to the top of the consideration pile is not relying on those AI tools to write it for you, because it becomes pretty easy for us to be able to sense that, especially in what Abhilash said about how generic those answers are. And we want to know who you are. We want to know what you care about, the problems you want to solve, why that drives you personally. And no machine, no artificial intelligence knows you and your motivations better than you do. So if you will trust yourself to share that, that's going to make for a much more impactful application than relying on essentially a machine that will regurgitate our website back to us. And we can tell most of the time when that's the truth.
I also just want to add something to Ankit's follow-up question. Can you please tell me about the application process and eligibility criteria for the business program? Ayushi has already answered the one about Venture Studio, which is open only to our alumni right now. But if you were talking about the entrepreneurship lab, it's one of the classes in the Equitech Scholars Program. So the Equitech Scholars Program curriculum consists of 5 classes. The Applied AI course, the Foundations of Data Science and Programming, Speaking Lab, Writing Lab, and the Entrepreneurship Lab. So if that was your question, I just wanted to make sure that it's just one application that you have to fill. That is the Equitech Scholars Program, and all these classes come under it.
And you have to attend all of them. You cannot get selected for Equitech Scholars and choose only to attend one of the labs. The 5 courses are core to everything, and to basically graduate from the program, you need to show. Maybe we talk a little bit about our graduation requirements next, Ayush.
Yeah, thanks,
one
Abhilash.
question that I've received on a personal message. Do we have to solve the problem on which we want to work during the duration of the program, or will the program make us ready to solve the problem after the completion of the program? So
I wish we could solve problems in 8 weeks' time. It would make us very, very successful. Unfortunately, we cannot. I think this is just the beginning of your journey. So this helps you contextualize. So a lot of students, right? When I remember when I was in college, 15 years ago, you feel, oh, I want to work in education, without really getting a context on what the challenges on education are, right? Understanding the policy limitations, really understanding, what works, what does not work. And so the idea in a program like the Equitech Scholars Program is to really give you some additional context and to understand how this context might help, getting you started in your journey towards working on the program or working on the problem that you care about. You are not going to be able to solve that problem in 8 weeks.
just one more question that I would like to answer, which was sent to us. What is the impact that this program has had on the students who have already graduated from it? Exhibit A is our alumni right here, but we also do alumni interviews in depth with each of our alumni. So you can also read more about it in our newsroom. I'll just put the link to the newsroom on our chat. So yeah,
But
that's
let's hear from the exhibitors while they're on call, if any of them would like to speak up and how it's impacted them.
I would like to start. Personally, the program opens my mind to all the possibilities of AI. As I said, I come from a computer science background, and I was not really aware of all the possibilities or the disciplines where we can apply AI. For me, it was only like developing more algorithms like ChatGPT, and that's all. So knowing that I can apply it to education, to some environmental science, and that was something that really helped me to realize that I can do more than I think. And it really helped me because I wanted to find something more applicable than just making algorithms. And after finishing the program, I have found like a lot of help from the faculty. I mean, I'm constantly writing emails to Abhilash, like asking for advice for my personal development, especially in my career. So, and he's always really kind and he always answers me. And I think that that's something really useful because he has way more experience than me and he has way more knowledge about different areas that I don't have. So that really helps me to try to find my way. And also, there have been some other times that I have need like specific people with a specific profile, and I have also felt in a good place to ask Thomas or to ask the faculty if they know that person and if they can connect me to that kind of person, and they have always helped me. So I think that like gaining these connections and gaining this kind of help is really, I mean, for me has been really helpful, and it's one of the biggest gains that I have got from the program.
Yeah, just to echo everything Isis said, I think the one big thing about the program is, like she said, like it really opens your mind, because as people who are really passionate about using technology for social good, there's like a big what if of like, how do I go about doing this? How do I get the resources? What kind of work can I really do? And I think for me, the most impactful thing has just been figuring this out, that this is a place where it's a viable thing that you don't have to wait 20 years to work on. You know, like you can work on this right now. You can start working in this direction right now. Here are the people, here are the resources, here are the job profiles to do that. And of course, all the support from the faculty to get you to those places and resources.
Thank you, Isis and Anna, for talking about this. I'll just take, given that we're also nearing the end for this info session, I'll just take a small minute to talk about what Abhilash mentioned. That is what makes a student a successful graduate of this program. Are three, like, adherence to two policies, basically. One is a successful submission of all capstone, that is the final projects that are required, and related assignments across different courses as well. But the second, and a policy that we stick to very, very strictly, is our attendance requirement policy. Students need to attend a minimum of 80% of the classes to be considered a successful graduate of the program. If you fall short of that, you will be removed to the program. That is to say, it's not just a question of whether or not you receive a certificate at the end of it. You will not be able to access our classes, our lectures, any of our other resources from that point onward. We are very strict about it, which is why there is this added urge from us to ask you to think about whether or not you can make sure that you'll attend at least 80% of our classes.
And can I just add, it's not because we are out to punish and we hope that you will fail or anything. Making the decision to join the Equitech Scholars Program is a commitment that you want to learn this with each other. And the only way you're able to do that is if you show up and participate in the conversation. So though we have recorded this info session today for some folks who couldn't make it and have requested to see it afterwards, we do not record our classes during the Scholars Program. So if you did miss a class, there are multiple ways that you can catch up, being in touch with your fellow cohort members, signing up for an office hour with the faculty. We, the faculty, will also usually on our learning management system do a relatively thorough rundown of what was covered in class. But missing a class in our program is kind of like missing a class at your university. It's likely that you just missed the content. You kind of had to be there, and you'll have to find a way to catch up in order to get back in. So if you've missed more than 20% of our coursework, that's why we think you just probably can't catch up enough in order to stay with it. That's the reason why.
There's also one question that was sent to me, which if Ayushi or Thomas, if you could answer this, is it possible to get a more detailed breakdown of the curriculum, that is the course syllabi for different classes and different labs, etc.?
So if you visit the website, there is a section on the course curriculum that will outline what the expectations in the larger syllabus of the classes If you have any other questions, however, that you would like answered before you apply to the program, you can always write to me at admissions@equitechfutures.com. I'm just typing in this email in the chat as well. And thank you, Ninad, for putting up the section of the website on the course.
If anyone has any more questions, we can give 2 to 3 more minutes. If you were unable to type your question, or if you would like to unmute yourself and talk, please feel free to. Yeah, and if anybody else on the speakers list has anything else to add, please go ahead and do so.
Thanks for taking time in your Saturday to learn about this, to hear from us, to ask your questions. I appreciate that you've allocated the time, all of you who've joined.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I know it must be like very different times in the part of the world that you are in, and thank you so much for coming here. We really appreciate it. Okay, I think we don't have any more questions. If there's anything else you would like to know about, Ayushi has already typed out the email address, so you can write to us. Thank you again, and good night, good morning, good evening.
Thank you, alumni, for joining us too, Isis, Anna, and Andrew. We really appreciate it, and thank you for your inputs.
I just wanted to add that if anyone has like another question or a more personal question about the application or some advice, you can feel free to like add me on LinkedIn or message me. I will write like those links in the chat so you can send any questions you have.
Also, Ankit, just to answer you, we also have a page on our website where we have a list of alumni. So if there's someone in particular you would like to get in touch with, again, you can write to us and we'll connect you. Or you can also find them on LinkedIn. We have a lot of them on LinkedIn.
Great. Looks like all of the LinkedIns are up. So we'll give just a couple more seconds for folks to copy those down, and then we'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks again so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing your applications.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.